It's time now for Wham! Talk 1600's Community Calendar with Brandon Drake.
The Northville Art House announces the biennial Small Works Juried All Media Exhibition November 3rd through December 16th, featuring over 150 works by 55 artists from Michigan and around the country. The exhibition includes photography, painting, ceramics, fibers, jewelry, and more. All works are for sale and measure 12 inches or less in all dimensions. The majority of art can be purchased for under $300, making them perfect holiday gifts. The Northville Art House is located at 215 West Katy Street and is a facility of the Northville Arts Commission. Admission to the Art House exhibits is free and open to the public. For more information, visit northvillearthouse.org or you can call 248-344-0497. There will be a November 10th luncheon and bazaar at Bethlehem United Church of Christ, 423 South 4th Avenue in Ann Arbor. For the bazaar, there's no admission fee, and it runs from 10 to 2 p.m. with a bake sale, crafts, Christmas recycled quilt raffle, and more. The luncheon runs from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. There will be beef or turkey, assorted salads and pies, $12 for adults, $8 for the salad only, and $5 for children. Call the church office to reserve tickets at 734-665-6149. Note that only 50 tickets will be sold at the door. The Ann Arbor Fiber Arts Guild presents their holiday sale Saturday, November 18th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Washtenaw Community College, Morris Lawrence Building, 4800 East Huron River Drive in Ann Arbor. There will be free admission, demos, and informal modeling all day long. Door prizes made by Guild members drawn every hour. For more information, visit AnnArborFiberArts.org.
You've been listening to the Wham! Community Calendar. To have your event publicized, email community@whamradio.com. You're catching the drift. Gary Wellings and the Drift on Wham! Talk 1600. Call 734-822-1600 to join in the discussion.
And welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to Catch the Drift. And we just had an update. We guess we had a little miscommunication in that Meekoff rally is November 1st, according to Linda. Not the 22nd,
I was reading a Tea Party caucus.
That Tea Party caucus.
Yeah, but it was a release from the guy who was sponsoring it. I'm confused here.
Right.
So.
Well, anyways, hey, Dan, can you find us, is there a website for that, or have Linda get us a website for that so we can send people to, and that way we'll make sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised Joe didn't correct me.
So November 1st, I guess, according to Linda. All right, so that's that. So I wanted to run real quick before we get to our next call. We were talking about the Clintons, the Uranium One deal. Dan, do you have that track one ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this. This is Dana Lash, talking to Congressman Jim Jordan, and it's a little long, but it hits to the heart of this Uranium One deal and the investigation that's going on with Robert Mueller and Rod Rosenstein. So go ahead. If you can play that, Dan, let's play that.
Coming up, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. But I just want to recap. This is how the day went. And Congressman, so good to see you. We so appreciate you joining us. I want to recap for everybody. This is basically what happened. So you had the Clinton campaign and the Democrat Party. They paid Fusion GPS to research and compile this dossier of information that was riddled with factual errors and completely debunked. Then Fusion GPS hired ex-British spy Christopher Steele to author said dossier. Then Steele sources included active Kremlin intelligence officers. And then Comey continued to pay Steele after the election. And this is my first question. Why was James Comey, the FBI, continuing to pay Steele? Do you get the impression that he was trying to maybe make it look like it originated with the FBI and not the Democrat Party?
I don't know, but it's why this cries out for investigation. You're exactly right, Dana. So Hillary Clinton, DNC, pay Fusion GPS to produce the dossier. Reports say the dossier becomes the catalyst for investigating Trump. Now we learn a few years back, the FBI was looking at this Uranium One deal and all that was going on, bribery, kickbacks, extortion, all the things that were going on. Didn't tell Congress, didn't tell the American people. Most importantly, the FBI didn't tell the agencies who were involved in making a decision whether Rosatom could buy this Uranium One, this whole deal could happen, could buy this 20% interest in or 20% of the uranium supply. Didn't tell the agencies who were making the decision. Then they also told the informant who they were paying to give them the information, who was working on this, you can't talk about it.
Yeah.
That all happens. And who was running the FBI at the time that this all happens? None other than Robert Mueller, the guy who's now doing the special counsel. And who was in charge of, according to The Hill, who was in charge of overseeing all this at the Justice Department? Rod Rosenstein, the same guy who appointed the special counsel, Bob Mueller. So that's the irony in all this. That cries out for an investigation. And my guess is most Americans would say something doesn't smell right here.
No, it doesn't. I mean, there's some Russian collusion for sure happening, but just not the way that the narrative has been ongoing. And I know your colleagues in the House, Congressman, that what was it? The co-founders of Fusion GPS came before. They testified. They pled the fifth. It seemed from now, being that I wasn't there, it was a closed door session. Everything that I read, they did not want to answer any questions. They were completely unhelpful.
No, you're exactly right. And this is interesting, too. So go back. Pagliano, who sets up the now famous Clinton private server, Brian Pagliano, took the fifth in front of, I was on the Benghazi committee, took the fifth in front of us, would not answer our questions. Now the people Hillary Clinton is paying to develop the dossier take the fifth. Seems like everyone hangs out with Secretary Clinton, takes the fifth when they actually discovered they're part of these things and when they come in front of a congressional committee. So I find that interesting as well.
There you go.
If they don't want to suicide themselves, they take the fifth.
If they don't want to end up on the Clinton body count, right, they go ahead and take the fifth because they know what's at stake. Their own lives are at stake.
I'm in fear for this guy who's going to come out, who's been the FBI informant who they gave permission to talk now. Finally,
prayers to him. Prayers to him. So hopefully he's been protected and everything else. Dan, let's take Bob on line 1, calling in from Mackinac.
Is this Bob Carr?
Yeah, Bob Carr it is.
Hey,
I
Bob,
just decided to call, and I'm glad I did. I heard the discussion about James and what's the other guy, Young?
Bob Young. Yeah, go ahead, Bob. What do you got?
One of the reasons I got in the campaign is because I don't know that those people know how to campaign. So we're working hard. I'm running for the United States Senate, and I just told my friend today I want to call the show, just make sure that you have calls in and you can be updated with what I'm doing. So
now are you going to be
another person running for the United States Senate?
Yeah, are you going to be out and about?
The science of beating an incumbent, I think.
So are you going to be doing any public appearances down this neck of the woods, Bob?
Oh, I sure am. I'm going to be everywhere.
Where are you going to be next?
I'll tell you our strategy. I don't want to teach these young guys how to campaign. But
that's good.
People need to remember I won in 28 counties against a very famous football star / attorney for the largest law firm. And so there's a way to do it.
Yeah. Well, well, make sure
one thing I will promise you is I'll never have as much money as they will.
Yeah.
Because I don't need it.
Well, make sure you give us some dates of appearances so we can let people know, Bob, when you're going to be down here in Southeast Michigan, and we'll help you get people to those events.
Yeah, and just keep mentioning my name if you don't mind. What I'd like to tell people to do is to either go on Facebook or go to electbobcarr.com, read my posts. I think experience counts. And that's probably where this campaign is going to end up going. And when you read what I write on different subjects, read on the opioid subject a couple of days ago. I think you'll be amazed. I can't imagine everything that I've done in my life.
Right.
Well,
but,
Bob Carr.
When you start out early, things add up.
Yeah.
Just like you guys,
Yeah, exactly.
You look back at your first radio station and now where you are. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Carr, we were remiss in not mentioning your name as one of the viable candidates. Yeah. I apologize.
All right, well, we'll get you on again, Bob. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, anytime, you guys. Just keep going. I'm glad what you're doing. I'm real proud of you.
All right, well, we are of you too. So thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Take care. All right, so Bob Carr running for U.S. Senate against in the primary against John James and Bob Young Jr.
And not Kid Rock.
Yes. And so I wanted to also get to, well, I think we're kind of running out of time, but I wanted to get to the tax plan, right? We're talking tax plan. We're starting to hear good things that we might get
before Christmas.
And I hope so, because before I do my taxes in spring, I would like to have something that's going to benefit me. Right? I'm sorry to be selfish, America, but I'd like something to benefit me out of this tax plan.
Us.
Yes. Well, I'm being selfish. Dan, you don't have that second track available, do you?
Not yet. I got to cue that up.
Well, it might be too late, but that's all right. If we can get to it, we can get to it. If not, we won't. But I want to make sure that people call their congressman, call your senator, call Debbie Stabenow and Gary Peters and say, you better get on board with this tax plan that the Republicans are putting together, because you know what? It helps us.
Yeah, the middle class.
The middle class. It does. I mean, this nonsense that, again, it's a big tax cut for the rich. You know what? The rich pay all of the taxes.
Yep.
And so if they're going to get some of that, well, yes, they are. You know, that's just the way it is. Poor people don't pay taxes. I'm sorry.
And they invest in this country.
Yes.
If they're encouraged to by a decent tax plan.
And the corporate tax rate coming down is just huge.
And that's just it.
I just don't understand how people can't seem to get it into their heads that, you know what, invest in America. It's what you have to do to make things grow. And this track, I don't know that we're going to get to it. I think we're almost out of time. But this track talks about Mick Mulvaney, who's our budget officer, right, for Trump, talking about how you can't just cut your way out of this. We can't cut spending enough because there's not enough will on either side of the aisle to cut programming. And you couldn't do it anyways. When you've got $20 trillion in debt, you're not going to cut your way to get rid of that $20 trillion in debt.
You've got to have growth.
You've got to have growth in the economy, and that small percentage increase of taxes on that small, what seems like a small increase, is what will eventually get the deficit paid down, will get us to a point where we're actually paying for what we're spending out instead of just continually throwing more debt on the fire, you know, which is what we're doing right now, $20 trillion. And that doesn't include Social Security, and that doesn't include all the other entitlements, right?
One of the encouraging things is that we are doing a budget. We haven't done a budget in 8 years, and that's how we got to $20 trillion.
Yeah.
You know, because we just kept doing,
yeah. Well, there's
listen to that music.
Yeah. So we'll save that for next week. We'll talk tax plan next week because that's a good discussion to have. So until next week, go to thedailydrift.com and see you next Saturday.
For the news you need to know.
The news you need to know. That's it. See you next week.
Don't miss